even in the analysis of history,
sorry about that.
and even a reportage, he brings you a lot of history that makes you feel, did he live in that era? Yeah.
I didn't. I guess I have a penchant for reading and understanding what happened in the past, because there's a Bible scripture that says that, you know, I can tell you an experience. When I studied abroad, and when I went to school abroad, I noticed in the university that I was studying that history was a very important subject, and that graduates from the A-level or the SSC, the WASI, the top graduates went into history. And I didn't understand it, because I was coming from Ghana and history was to be laughed at. So I asked my professor that, why do you, first of all, I wanted to find out the graduates that make a lot of money. It was my own research. And I understood that the stockbrokers, those who advise on stocks and all of that, they make the most money. And then I saw that history was the one that people were, if you want to go to Oxford and you want to go and study history, you have to get 3-star A's. It's very, very important. What for us was important in Ghana at Legon was School of Admin. Where I went to, that was way back bottom. And so I asked that, but which people get into the stock exchange? They said the historians. And I was confused. I said, I thought that was about calculation. They said, no, it's about patterns. So it's the most history students from the top schools that become the stockbrokers, because they understand patterns. And then the professor said to me that, but you are a Christian. I said, yeah, I am. He said, but it's in your Bible. Solomon wrote it, that there's nothing new under the sun. What has happened is what will happen. What has been is what will be. So there's nothing new under the sun. So that underscores the importance of history. So the stockbroker can look at 1948, and he said, after the World Cup, these stocks went up. So in 1982, after the World Cup, these stocks will go up, because his history is patterns. So I said, oh, I see, that's interesting. And I came back to ask people in Legon, and they told me that in the 60s, history and classics was very, very important. In fact, Professor Alex Kwapon, when he became the Vice-Chancellor of the university, the first African Vice-Chancellor, he made classics compulsory in the 70s. So that's why I've been in this battle with all the people who say that there are some useless courses and all of that. I think that we have not been able to properly calibrate our education. That's why we feel that some courses that we definitely need. Yesterday, I was speaking to a presidential candidate, and he was talking about AI, and he was talking about how important it is for sociologists and anthropologists to be taught coding, and that the university should consider adding it, because it is the anthropologist and the sociologist who can do the AI that is welcoming you to the mall. He knows, the scientist knows how to put the AI together, but the anthropologist will tell him that let the AI welcome people when they enter. Let him raise and say, hi, welcome to this shop. And then let the AI, when people enter the shop, they are looking for what they'll buy. So let the AI continue to say that on your left is that, on your right is that, on the right is that. That's a sociological situation. A lot of the problems we are having in Ghana is because we don't pay heed to anthropologists and sociologists. We are planning a policy. We don't have the sociologists telling us that, look, this your double track policy is going to go this way. This your free SHS policy is going to occasion a rise, because people are naturally going to want to go. That's a sociological function. It's not a scientific function. To understand how human beings will relate to something. And so the sociologists would have said that once you do this, you're going to have another maybe 50, 100,000 people going. So it's important that, and I like what some of the new politicians are beginning to understand, that training in the arts is very, very important for building society. Science is very, very important for livelihood. We live on science. Whatever we've done this morning, whether you use a cream, that's chemistry. Whether you took a shower and you had hot water, that is mechanical engineering. So we live on science. So without science, we'll die. But in terms of how to organize our society and accelerate our development, is really with sociology, anthropology, history, political science.
Okay. I'm just curious about this presidential aspirant that you spoke with yesterday.
Yes, I'm not sure you'd like me to mention his name.
I would like
one of the MPP people.
I would like you to, because I want to get into the mind of this person. I want that when I hear him, you don't have experience. Yeah. But what he said is quite positive.
Yeah,
why not?
It is indeed. But I don't like to repeat conversations in the public. I was with him yesterday. He didn't know that I'll be talking about it.
Okay.
Let's start a conversation with the recent past public office you held.
Yes, yes.
The board chair of the Ghana Airport Company. What do you make of your time there?
Oh, well, I mean, it's difficult to ask one to assess himself in a situation like that. I'm sure that the jury will be out and the people who are engaged with will say. But I think I enjoyed my time there thoroughly. I met new people, and I believe that we did a good job. But I mean, I can't say. People would look at it and make a determination.
What makes you believe that you did a good job?
Because we went in at the time when the Sunyani Airport, for instance, was closed. It became an ambition of the president at the time that he needed to open Sunyani Airport. When we did, the traffic flow into Sunyani Airport was amazing and shocking. It made us feel that we had done a very good job. Today, it's a very busy traffic, and the people in Sunyani were happy with it. And then we also worked hard to try and complete the Kumasi Airport, which we did, left with the extension of the runway, but we did. It has changed. Yesterday, I saw the German president arrive at the Kumasi Airport, and I saw a video of him driving out of the place and the beauty of the exterior when you leave the Kumasi Airport, which matches any European airport. I felt proud, and it helped Ghana. So on that and a few other things, I think hopefully when posterity comes to judge, they will judge us positively.
You flew a plane from Gatwick.
Yes, Gatwick, yes.
To Kumasi.
Yes, yes.
But it didn't bring the international flight we wanted into Kumasi, did it?
Yeah, it didn't, because we wanted to demonstrate the internationalization of the airport. It was a heated campaign period, and there was a lot of conversations on the campaign. And when campaign happens, people say all kinds of things on the campaign. Yesterday, we were reading in the news that an MP who said she had been shot during the campaign turned out not actually to be in the convoy. So in the heat of campaign, a lot of things happened. There was political pressure to demonstrate that the government had not deceived the people when it said that the airport is international. It will take a while for the policy of internationalization of the airports to take roots, but the airport was international, and there was political interest in demonstrating that the airport is international. It may not have started taking regular international flights, but when the Minister of Transport goes to Parliament and says that we have internationalized the Kumasi Airport, he was right, and that needed to be demonstrated.
At that time when the plane was coming, had the airport been fully completed?
That's the reason why the plane was able to land, and that's why an important international brand like Ethiopian Airlines was used. There were conversations about using a chartered flight, etc., etc. Some people felt that a chartered flight will not make the point because there will be rebuttals. But if you use a regular international airline that agrees that I'm flying to an international airport based on the indications, based on the calculation, the indices, the size of the runway, the infrastructure at the airport, then you would have endorsed the fact that it is an international airport. And so Ethiopian Airlines, who conducted the flight, agreed that it's ready for international flights, and that was very important.
There was one big thing that happened when you were there. Mm-hmm. Remember the famous, is it tree light or whatever at the airport?
Oh, the Christmas tree. Uh-huh. Yeah, the Christmas tree.
That was quite...
It was a much ado about nothing. Again, really? It was political, yeah. Okay. Eventually, the matter went to Shiraj, actually. And I had appeared before Shiraj, and Shiraj gave a ruling that we believe completely exonerated us. The only disappointment I had with Shiraj was that when I went in, I told him that I wanted this filmed. I've said that before. I told him that, Mr. Commissioner, it's a public hearing. I really want this filmed because I don't want your ruling to come out and people say this and that. Let's film it and let everybody see what's happening here. He declined. And so when the ruling came and people were picking parts of the ruling and making a case that I told these people that this is the reason why I wanted it filmed. That was really my disappointment. And since then, I had wanted to begin a campaign for Shiraj because when I went in there and I had covered Shiraj, I've reported Shiraj in this book in a mill shot. I had covered Shiraj and the mill shot, and I went to Shiraj and I didn't see anything new, different from the time that the mill shot was there. It came to me as a disappointment. I covered Parliament as well. And I went to Parliament 2 days ago for the Speakers Media Forum, and I saw a lot of difference, and I was quite excited that when I was covering Parliament in the second Parliament, and many people were surprised around the table when I said I had covered the second Parliament. In fact, the Speaker had to remind himself of it. So, but I went to Shiraj yesterday, Speakers Forum yesterday. There's a 9th Parliament, and you can see physical improvement in the infrastructure in Parliament and in the way they do their work. They are more modern. When I went to Shiraj, I was confused. I was disappointed. So I thought that a campaign should begin for Shiraj to give them the technology that Parliament has, the power to record video and all of that. They don't have that kind of setup. The courts have it. So when Justice Tokonu was CJ, it was easy for the court to broadcast live online. And Shiraj doesn't have it. Shiraj doesn't have yesterday, Shiraj published something on Amishadai. It came to even regular journalists as a surprise. They didn't know that there was a hearing was being held about Amishadai. It came to everybody as a surprise. But Shiraj is a very important constitutional institution, and that we should not let it go the way it's going without resources. It should be very well resourced and help the process by giving that transparency impetus so that people can see what's happening at Shraj, so that graduate students can study what's happening at Shraj and then produce a report. So over the next 50 years, the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice will be an important bulwark of our democracy, and other African countries can copy it. It's so important. The thinking was so right in putting Shraj in the Constitution, but the way we have treated it, I'm not sure. So that was really my connection with it. But this Christmas tree was really a much ado about nothing.
I'm certain we'll miss this Christmas tree. Christmas is just around the corner.
No, it was about spending on Christmas at the airport, and we had actually reduced the spending, but it was very political again. So some NDC people who didn't like me thought that they got something, they needed something. And again, in Ghana, sometimes the politics is not about what you say, let me challenge what you say, but okay, if you said this, I'll get something on you. And it's a very devastating way to conduct politics. And I don't think that they were doing that in the past, if you read my book covering the Fourth Republic. But since about 2012, this kind of politics has come in, where people are not responding to what you are saying. People don't challenge what you are saying. But if you say something that is true, or you conduct yourself in a way that brings out truth that hurts them, then they will say, I will get something on you. That's really the term they use these days. So you cross the red traffic light yesterday, they make a big case out of it, not because you crossed the red traffic light, but because of what you said on Newsfile. I think that's very terrible policy. And that was the policy that was at play here. They needed to get Paul Adomotri because he's been conducting stuff about the NDC. They don't say that what he says about the NDC is untrue. No one ever says that. No one ever says that you've carried out a broadcast that is false. But if you carry out a broadcast that they think will convince people and that they think will make their party look bad, then they look for you. In Akan, they say that Wabawatoho, and they look for you. And that was the motivation that went in. But the ruling of Shraj was very clear. In fact, even till today, people say that, why don't you jail Paul Adomotri for the Christmas tree? And no one is listening to them, but they are still saying it.
Isn't it more about probably the cost involved? The Ghanaians feel that why do we have to spend on something they deem?
That was very important, and it was about that. The intervention was really about the cost. So that is why in the first expression, I published the cost of yesteryears and demonstrated that this is the cheapest cost, because I entered into a meeting where they were discussing this matter, and I was worried about the money they were talking about around the table, that why are you spending so much money for Christmas? And I said, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. Reduce the cost. But later on, we're told that the spending process benefits certain people. Every year they have something to do with the spending process. So if you come in as board chairman and you say we are not spending that anymore, and in fact the company is not paying all, this was the first time that the company got people to pay. And when I went to Shraj, I submitted it to them that the check came from the advertising people, because I said that, but they do the advertising, they benefit from this. Why don't we get them to pay? And they obliged. They paid a huge part of the cost. A check was issued from them to the vendors. It didn't come through the airport. So the whole issue about procurement then blew out into smithereens. But the cost was the reason why we went in, to reduce the cost. We made that point, but nobody listens, because it's political time and it's campaign time and it's Paul Adomotri, so let us hang him however. And it's not everyone who likes to come on social media to make a comment, but there are some people who are very agile in that regard. If majority of them are making a point, it will seem as if that point is correct. But it's not always right.
So
there's a majority. Well, they paid for some of it. But
no, I mean, the Ghana Airport Company was not the one that paid for it.
No, the airport company paid some of it, but some of it was taken from advertisers. And it was a rental process. Yes, so they pay for some of it, and then some of it
How much was it again?
Oh, I can't remember. The figures are public, so I mean, the figures are very public. It's in the Shraj ruling.
Okay.
I see that you say that you had an experience with Shraj. You're also having an experience with the OSP. Mm-hmm. Would you advertise? Would you as well ask that some of the technology you're advocating for Shraj be also provided for the OSP?
Well, I think the process with the OSP is ongoing. It's not over, so I really don't want to speak about it.
No, I mean the technology of public hearing. Because most of the things that he has well investigated is also
public hearing. I think that it should go across board. I was observing some of the public trials going on. The public hearing, it should apply to everything. Everything that has an investigation that involves the public purse should really have the public seeing it, so that the public will decide whether I'm watching the OSP's interrogation of X, or I want to watch the High Court trial of Kwabena Dubois here. All of that must be available. I mean, we are a growing democracy, so transparency is essential. So I think everything must be available. And then Georgiana Wood set the tone, and that's why we congratulate her in my book. When the Supreme Court ruled that the trial cannot be, the first election petition cannot be on television, it was Georgiana Wood who said, no, we have to put it on television. And since then, we have developed this culture that is admired by many African countries. So yes, I agree. If the OSP is having a serious interrogation with people, there has to be, but the OSP seems to have cameras in the rooms where they talk to people. I saw a few cameras there, so yes. But it has to be available to the general public if they want to see it, you know. And now we have a right to information bill that Akufo-Addo gladly passed. So we are building up transparency, and we shouldn't stop it with decisions that the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice cannot transmit live some of its interrogations. Today, Amin Shadai's lawyers are complaining. They are saying, ignore the commissioner, we haven't done anything wrong. And how do journalists even evaluate it? People woke up yesterday morning in newsrooms and they saw that Shraj does so and so and so. Said, so Shraj was doing this work all the time. When Commissioner Short, many years ago, was doing the PV of being trial, one of the biggest Shraj, it wasn't reported live because there was no facility to do so, but television was allowed in to film it every day and broadcast it. And newspapers were allowed it. And I think that was even a tussle. If you read my book, Commissioner Short had to come to the decision that, yes, newspapers and recognized media houses can cover it. It was quite a big issue. And then eventually the Chronicle reported it and other people reported it. So, yes, in terms of transparency, the public hearing must, as much as possible, be online.
But has been the experience so far with the OSP? You're in court.
No, I'm not in court yet.
You're seeking a few declarations?
Oh, relating to that one. Yes. I don't want to talk about that, you know.
Why not?
I mean, if you have taken an action, I'm not sure that you have to come on television and prosecute your action. Eventually, whatever happens will be told.
If you tell me what you're seeking, you will not be prosecuting it, right?
No, I think that's public. That's public information. It's public, but I still don't want to talk.
Considering how you said people were reporting your experience with Shraj, and this is why you wanted the information public, because you're here, it would be nice to hear from you so that you don't leave the public.
It's not. I'm not sure my lawyers will be happy with that. I'm not sure they'll be happy.
Anyway, so you have reported, when I just took a casual look at the book, by the way, your book is bigger than mine. Why?
No, sorry, this is a reference. So I made them print it bolder.
Okay. Okay, then I was looking. Did I miss a few pages?
No,
okay. So you have here you say that you love to be called a news reporter.
Yes, absolutely.
Over the years since you've been reporting government in, government out, today you sit in this chair. If you just take a look at the current government, what's your general assessment? Your performance so far?
Oh, well, I mean, it's as everybody says, it's a bit early. This week the government will be given its first major budget. But you see that the government has itself realized that some of the things that they said in opposition that were doable are not as simple as that. And the campaign of 2024 was feisty. And again, the Interior Minister's report yesterday contradicts what a lot of people said during the campaign about Hawakumsin. So I'm sure the government is... Good evening again and welcome to the program. Thank you very much for indulging us on that interview at Joy FM. That's how my morning started. Thank you to the Joy News the AM show, I have to say. Kingsley, the producer, and the two hosts. It was interesting. I'd like to be interviewed by young people a lot more, shouldn't it? Anyway, there will be occasion enough to talk about that. The full interview will be on our Facebook page, so you can see it. For those who are interested, it will also be on our YouTube page. Tonight we have, in the main show, a very important interview. There's this American man who says that he's been circumvented by officials of Ghana because he wanted to bring money into Ghana. Some of you may have seen the video pop up on social media. He says he wanted to bring money into Ghana, and the circumstances have become such that he feels that somebody is circumventing him and sabotaging the republic thereby. He's too scared to come into the studio with his lawyer. So we'll be speaking to him from his coded location on telephone. We'll be speaking to his lawyer in the main on telephone. He'll be with his lawyer and he may chip in. It's a very sensitive interview, but we have to do it. This is the lawyer. Yes, this is the lawyer. What's his name? Wayo Ganamanti Esquire. Wayo Ganamanti Esquire will be speaking to us about that very confusing, long, winding story about an American trying to bring some money into Ghana, $100 million every week, something fantastic sounding like that. They had a meeting with high-profile officials of the Republic. They had begun this process in the MPP era, and they had transitioned into the NDC era. In both instances, they had dealt with high-profile government officials, and the American man now feels that somebody is circumventing him, and in the process, that somebody would actually fleece the Republic. I'd like my video editor to look for the Blemeza video. Now, we have been interested in this story because Good Evening Ghana has been the program that did the Blemeza story. I think many of you may not have been watching the program at the time. 10, 12 years ago, I was in America when I met an American journalist who said that he was working for CBS when they interviewed Blemeza on what they called 60 Minutes. And so he was going to give me the format. I can't remember the name. The format to be undone so that we can show it. So 12 years ago, we showed that video. Tonight, we'll show you that video again, just before we do this interview, so that we can put it in context why we're after this story. Because we were definitely after the Blemeza story. Incidentally, most of the actors in the Blemeza story who lived in Ghana, like Craig Fraser, unfortunately passed. Craig was my personal friend. I used to go to the gym with him in Sakumono back in the day, and he would tell me about how this money must be gotten. He was very excited when I put out the film on television. That's how he came into contact with me. May Craig Fraser rest in peace. But tonight we have another big story like that. An American man says, I have the ability to bring Ghana $100 million every week, something like that for 4 years. I mean, viewers, can you believe that? Every week, 100 million for 4 years. Tell us the story, how he started with the MPP administration and then transitioned into the NDC administration. It's a very interesting story. It's coming up. But that's our big story. It's coming after the Howard Kumsin story and after the PDS story. We have the Howard Kumsin story, we have the PDS story. And of course, we begin, and they have also won it back to back. In Fansipim on the Hill, Drin Shekan is what they write in their logo. That is to say, what does Drin Shekan literally translate to? It means think ahead, something like that. The program. And I answered in a very funny way. And they were the lady about Presec and the NSMQ. They make Presec, don't they? They
Look at that.
Isn't it?
Yes.
They all try to look like Presec. And, you know, I'm excited that the whole Ghana is talking about, oh, Presec is not there. It takes something away from the NSMQ. We are sorry.
Oh,
Next
dear.
year we'll be there.
I wish I didn't ask this question.
To claim our 8th title. Don't worry about that. I saw this video and I got interested. You know, viewers, by now, some of you know, I'm always on social media. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram. I'm always, so if you send me a WhatsApp message, you will notice that within 1 minute of sending it, I reply. Except I'm reading or I'm typing or something like that. Or I'm watching Manchester United. Even that, if you text me about the game, I'll text back. So I came across this video. And by the way, today we have a special as we also consider Liverpool and Manchester City. So that's coming up in the sports segment much later. So I saw this video, you know, and there was a meeting in former President Akufo-Addo's office. You know, his former president's office is in, those who live in Accra, is in Laboni, somewhere in Laboni. And there's this guy who was singing appellations to the president, I believe, in the Frafra language, or was it Dagomba? The president was very, you know, taken aback. But the guy continued for a while. And those of you who understand the language, please translate it. It's an interesting video I'd like to share with you at the beginning of tonight's explosive show. That's the meeting, the people who went in to see the former president. They went to have some conversations with him. And this is what's transpired. Have a look at this video.
Moi, ça ne dit qu'un droit d'amour, la Garbazo, ça peut vous manier, Bruno, soignez les children, Kabunda, Matumabunda, la Garbabia, Sabuna, son Nako Puni, Dumble Margina, the Kudishu Lambda, la Garbabia, Sabuna, I thought you got off Abu Yama, Abu Dari, Pasamo Coffee, no one say my bounty. Nicoyandi, Oba was a maba. Yama, Abu Dari, yes, I will come. That's all ya. Well, some now put us on. So I yell at my business, Tabasuma, the Gazi, Long Tally. I bet I am still them to John Command who could have it. John Command who could have it. Katasatulu, who got cool Nasa, Nasamano could be, Katam Tulu, who got cool Tamtum, Tamtum Man could be, Kakusavi, who got Kusavi, Kusavima could be, Kasankara Yulu. Sakara Yamako, Double Nankabamba. That's what happened, but now go down and do shit. We're pulling another car to the car, and say you was one. I have a person. I probably intention of the woman jelly. I haven't done summer, you never learned to. Never! This is for us. So I'm going to be a yet. Didn't get them one. You could suck out of the burning gas. But I haven't done the can't somebody. As a man who knows them now, Kuruku, but the Super Zakayanda, Landolani, now Kuruku, I have that dog battery, sir, Jimmy Maya, Cameron.
And that's what happened in that video. I think is quite interesting. Now let's get to our first story. And this morning, they asked me on Joy FM about politics, and the concern is always that if we continue to run politics as it is, one day we're going to have a challenge where people are not going to believe what we say anymore. During the appointment committee hearings of Supreme Court Justice, Professor Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, she's told the appointment committee something. She said that when she was growing up, there was a saying that book no lie or paper no lie, so that when something is written in black and white, it was to be believed. She was reporting to the appointment committee that, to her surprise, that's not the same anymore. You can see a black and white document and it is untrue. And it erodes confidence in the public system, and it erodes confidence in politics. Here we are saddled with this story, and I believed it. Of course, even though I support Hawa Kumsin to the hilt, I believed it. And I thought that Hawa Kumsin may have been under pressure to sort of shoot a gun. Fair enough. And there are some people in MPP who felt that the law must take its course, everything. I remember the security experts like Professor Kwesienin, the kinds of words that they use against Hawa Kumsin, calling virtually for her removal on account of a story that was told by the Honorable Koyo, who is now the Member of Parliament for Kasoa. And they were both in a contest to represent Kasoa in Parliament. Hawa Kumsin was the incumbent, and she was challenging on the NDC ticket. I believe it wasn't the first time she was challenging Hawa Kumsin. And there was this routing that occurred. She gave a story, and tonight we're going to go through what she said first, what she said second, what she said now. Because earlier today, she held a press conference in Parliament. GBC Online had the story, so later on, those of you who want to see the full one can go on GBC Online. But we have edited the salient points, and we're going to share with you. It's quite interesting and very disheartening, I have to say. I'm sorry to use that word. Very disheartening for a member of Parliament currently rendering and blaming the minister in the press conference that she held today. So let's tell the story. Ghanaians observing the campaign one day heard that they had been shooting in